It's just fantastic. Captain's log, subdates 211210.4. Okay, so hear me out here. As I got a Power Ranger Morpher, would it be cool to get a Power Ranger Alpha on board? Also, should we try and create a Moist Ranger? How about a Megazord? Although thinking about it would just be a Hitachi. Totally an ad-friendly endeavor. Welcome everyone to This Week at Twitter, or Twat. Today we're going to start with a random block of the week, and it genuinely was a random one. At Sofane, Epic Cell Phone. The tweet he's retweeted was shared about by a lot of people, so let's quickly address that. At Young Pappy Stan, I've done dozens upon dozens of women, and not a single one was able to come. It is biologically impossible for women to achieve orgasm. I don't know why y'all just be lying on this app for no reason for. I'm starting to understand why 9,657 people, quote, retweeted you, although this could just be one hell of a joke. Let's take it seriously for a moment. It is biologically impossible for women to achieve orgasm. Clearly someone spent far too much time on the vanilla wing of Pornhub, and you bragging about not being able to make dozens upon dozens of women come is a damning statement for your game. Might I recommend you either practice or just give up and stick with a fleshlight. It doesn't come either unless you forget to wash it out. Now this is where I found my random block of the week, because underneath there was a reply from Carissa Messina. You're a damn legend, Darlene. Thing here is I couldn't see the tweet being referenced from Darlene Stimpson. Dude, I'm a 66-year-old and my best friend made me come 31 times on my 31st birthday. The problem is you. Learn how to use your hands and your mouth and stop thinking your penis is magic. I am blocked by Darlene Stimpson, and that reply is actually fantastic. I'm a bit sad that, I'm blocked. Moving on. So to move in a completely different direction, we're going to go to audience participation. Choose one. Included are whammons, houses and cars, and a push bike. This is an alphabet of sorts that goes up to the letter Q, and as I like Q in Star Trek, I'm going to go with Q. Also, one of my favourite Christmas songs is All I Want for Christmas is Q. It is one of the best songs ever, and of course, Picard's finest work. Next I noticed Hulk Hogan was trending, and this is because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tweeted out, always one of my favourite pro wrestling questions. This being a reply to Fight TV, who is on your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. For The Rock, it is Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, Ric Flair, and a three-way tie between The Undertaker, Pat Patterson, and Jackie Fargo. My favourite tweet concerning Hulk Hogan, though, while not connected to this, came from the Iron Sheik, who had retweeted Bovada Official. Name an athlete who's an overall good human being. Hulk Hogan may have been a dumb son of a bitch in the ring, but outside the ring he was also a dumb son of a bitch. All in caps. Now to go back to The Rock's Mount Rushmore of wrestling, I might disagree slightly with him here, because I think while influential figures, all of whom qualify, I think it should be people who had the biggest impact. So I think, of course, it has to be the Honky Tonk Man, the $1 Million Man, Jesse the Body Ventura, and Dolph Ziggler. I know. I clearly chose the very best. Although in all seriousness, I do think one of them belongs on that Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. Do tell me down below who you think should be on your wrestlers Mount Rushmore if you are a wrestling fan, or sports entertainment fan, because saying wrestling is haram. Now we move on to more serious subjects, and for this we go to Hypnotist Sappho. Mega thread. If a non-human has a desire to have a sexual interaction with a human, whether social or for pleasure, that is morally okay. If that non-human is impaired in any way by means physical or through sedation, it is irrefutably wrong because it impairs their will. Replies turned off. People once saw interracial and homosexual relationships as unnatural and morally repugnant. Non-human sexuality is complex, and interspecies and homosexual relationships are well documented between non-humans and other non-humans. Don't play God and use the same argument. Non-humans can't communicate and express their will. False. Consent is not in the hands or human language. Non-humans can, primarily through body language and some verbalizations, express how they feel and what they want. This obviously needs to be held to a high standard. I am not going to read the remaining 15 additions to that thread from Valerie, because you've already made a mistake, and it's called a false equivalence. I mean, there are other mistakes as well, but that's the obvious one. You've also said that it is possible to communicate consent, but based on the standards we now use for consent, no, they really can't. Stop trying to Roger other animals. Stick to humans, don't be greedy. Stop making excuses for your what you call kink that the rest of us call bestiality and highly illegal, you sick freak. Either get help or go hand yourself in and confess to crimes you have committed, if you've committed them. If you haven't, stop with these pathetic arguments. An animal cannot consent, and you know it. You are arrogant to think that you know better based on gestures, which, by the way, last I checked with humans, is not enough, you absolute mongoloid. But by all means, debunk it. As you turned replies off, I can only assume it had something to do with the 1,988 quote retweets. So for a little light-hearted blasphemy, this was sent to me by Caffeinated Kitsune. Heinz Mayo Must Saucy Sauce. Keep that away from me for 2 reasons. 1. Mayonnaise. 2. Allergies. Filthy. Next. Rose of Dawn. I've lost count of how many overweight people have been presented as healthy during this pandemic. As you'll notice from the archive tweet though, it was deleted. So what was it? Well, don't worry, I got a screenshot before it went missing. Wales Online. Young man with clean bill of health left hours from death in hospital after catching COVID. Underneath is a picture of a young man, I think. I can't tell. It's hard to tell age of people at certain weights, but also regions, way of living, the usual really. It is very strange to use the term clean bill of health with someone who looks, well, morbidly obese. I really don't think you got that one right, but I could be wrong. So to the next subject we go to Ricky Berwick. This is why at Meta PCs is better, consoles are for people with a taste for younger blood. It is a retweet of Tipster, hashtag Tipster News. The senior vice president of PSN, George Kakiopo, was caught by an independent hunting group known as People vs. Preds for allegedly trying to meet with a 15-year-old boy for, well, RAPE. You can use the 3-letter word, but it's not that, is it? Many people didn't really want to cover this, so Tipster pretty much broke this, and he got a lot of coverage in the news. Well, I guess @Dan Stapleton was wrong after all. It looks like IGN did think this story was newsworthy after all, because some people thought, well, we cover news, we cover games, but this isn't relevant really, is it? Actually, you're wrong, Dan Stapleton, you absolute twat. And if in a court of law, Mr. Kakakakakiapopopo is tried, fairly, convicted, sentenced, yes of course, he goes straight into the ISO cubes. Next, we're going to go to Nick Goroff, aka Wizard of Cause, linked to his channel below. That is a mixed bag of a rogues gallery there. Do they deserve better because they're women? Because Clinton is a corporate warhawk? Harris laughed about locking people up for weed? Heard is a domestic abuser? Really wants to lump them in altogether because women? A retweet of Christopher Boozy. It's unfair and horrendous how Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Amber Heard, Molly Young-Fast, Meghan Markle, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Lisa Page and Joy Reid are treated on social media platforms. These women deserve better than this. Better criticism? Because I've got a lot of it for about 75% of them. And I can be almost certain that my lovely, lovely audience can tell you in my comments just how badly many of these women are received online, especially because of what they've done. Because let's face it, actions do speak louder than words, and while you want to promote them, others do want to promote them as godlike. They're really not. They are just as pathetic as every other person on this planet. No lives matter, everyone. 2024. I'm going to end you all at long bloody last. So as this will tie into the last subject, the main event, I'm going to just lump it all in together, I guess. This is the main event. Yay, wow, 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 yay. At IrateAlex, or AlexIrate, _ in the middle. What the shit is this YouTube? Enabling dishonest behavior was recently added to the monetization criteria. When you say, yes, I want my video monetized, you have to go through a list of things, and they recently added this one. As a random thing as well for me, just because it's a bug and I noticed it, when I was setting up last week's political recap stream, about 10 minutes before I went live, I couldn't change the thumbnail for a minute, because of daily customized thumbnail limits being reached. That was really irritating, YouTube. When I want to talk about something else, the last thing I need is Rittenhouse hugging someone on my freaking thumbnail still. So to the actual final subject that ties this all together, at YouTube. Who's a dog on YouTube that changed your life? Now for me it has to be Sherpa or Kyush. Ki? Essentially, Huskies. Or they Malamutes? Malamutes? Whatever, they're not Tibetan Mastiffs, so at least they're not that. Although I won't object to having that in my house. Seriously, they're monsters and I love it. This tweet, to me, feels like bait, because of the community I have been a part of for a long time. So understandably, the one person who should notice this does notice it, i.e. a certain Marcus Meekin, aka Count Veiny Pringletube Large Ballsack Dankula, who retweeted this with, "Lol. I know you were expecting more, weren't you? But really, who better to reply to this than a guy whose career skyrocketed on YouTube, and it had to because he had no IRL work because of one silly little prank getting his girlfriend's pug, to salute or raise paw with 2 words, and apparently this means he's a court-appointed anti-Semite. Alright. Anyway, as we're done, I'd love to know what you all think, so please do let me know in the comments down below. As a final thing, I shall be hosting a political recap stream on the Moistski Live channel linked down below in the link tree. If I don't see you there, have a fantastic day. I will be back here tomorrow for more content, and thank you all very much for listening.